As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. This is about PlayStation, okay? PlayStation in the news. And the headline here is PlayStation seemingly teases more games for PC. And the headline's sort of innocuous, right? Like you can't read much from that. But really what the article talks about is that PlayStation is planning or continuing to essentially bring many more of their first-party releases to PC. Essentially no longer exclusive just to PlayStation consoles. And they're talking about, ones like Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn and, Days Gone's coming supposedly to Steam. And so PlayStation seems to be putting more of their content, more of their games on PC. Do you guys read anything into this article? Is it, we've had so many conversations around exclusives, how important they are to console cycles. Why do you think PlayStation would want to be bringing more of their first-party titles to PC? Does anyone have a theory on that?
Just off the cuff, I would think it would be to build and maintain the user base. These games also came out 2 or 3 years ago, so there's not a lot of they're not inextricably linked to the PS5 console cycle. And putting them on Steam is definitely a way to get, I suppose, more interest in the games. It's
well, supposedly they're bringing.
It's a way to build goodwill with gamers, that's for sure.
Supposedly they're bringing 41 games, guys, to PC or to Steam, and right now there's 24. So there's a lot that they're planning on bringing to Steam. Clearly, going forward.
So I think they saw great success with Fortnite, right? And maybe they want to replicate that in some way. I doubt they're orchestrating the same types of deals and payouts that they did with Epic, with Steam and other PC gaming providers. But to Lindsay's point, right, they want to build goodwill with these users, and this is the future of gaming, right? It's not exclusive. It's putting your titles in as many hands as possible for as cheap as possible, if not free, and microtransactions or other long-term plays to monetize are better than a high paywall and an exclusive title that also requires you to buy an outdated console, or not an outdated console, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
100%.
Jimmy B, do you think there's a future where then exclusives don't exist?
That's as of right now, that's hard to see, but I think there's a future where PlayStation has their own PC store and maybe the exclusives live there, but it's still a PlayStation. You can play on PC, but you're buying it directly from the PlayStation store. I would see that as the next move in that direction. But I would hope so. Well, it's hard, right? If you look at music as a direct parallel, you still have exclusives per label, but you can listen to almost everything on one of the various streaming providers, right? So I see them kind of following similar shoes as the streaming, as what streaming did for music. I would see Steam and the iOS store, I suppose, Epic, comparable to Tidal and Spotify, etc.
Yeah, like the one thing I want to pay attention to, is, especially with moving to PC, is of course Ramsey mentioned the fear of Game Pass creeping in, which is legit. And we heard, I think earlier or late in 2019, about Sony's Azure, right? They're working with Microsoft to further develop their cloud computing services and be able to deliver those experiences to people wirelessly. And so what that says to me is that they're decentralizing their games, and that in the future, I think they will also return to the handheld market that is, more based around cloud gaming to utilize this server that they're building out with Microsoft. that's where I think it's heading. And to the point of no exclusives, I think Jimmy's B's exactly right. The PC is going to be the playground for both of these things. And if you want to go have a console experience, you'll have to take that PlayStation title, play it on your PS5, what have you, but you still have the option to play it on your PC. And the same thing will apply with Xbox, is what I'm imagining.
I mean, Lindsay, how much do you think PlayStation here is doing this just because they're worried about Game Pass?
It's a very real possibility. Game Pass is pretty quickly snapping up a lot of the subscription service market, and they're doing a great job with it. So obviously, PlayStation has to compete.
Like, do they feel like this slows down? Like, do you think someone says, you know, maybe I won't subscribe to Game Pass because, like, I'm trying to think what the thinking is. Maybe I don't subscribe to Game Pass because now I don't need to buy a PlayStation to play Horizon Zero Dawn or
Xbox. I think it would be more so now I don't need to switch over to Xbox to still to get access to more games. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know how many people have both PlayStation and PC. I don't know if they're just trying to get their games to survive better on PC, so that then they have basically like two markets to play them on long term. But certainly, like they have to come up with something creative to compete with Game Pass, short of creating their own version of Game Pass. And this is a good place to start. More access to your games.
The other thing in here that I found interesting is, you know, PlayStation clearly has no problem paying Steam's distribution like cost, right? Jimmy B, you brought up a good point. Like at some point, maybe there's a PlayStation store that's on PC, right? That's its own storefront, its own launcher. But the fact that they're choosing to go with Steam seems to tell me, and probably are willing to pay Steam's distribution tax, seems to tell me that they really probably care most about distribution here, right? They want the largest audience to see these games. And so that could be the tactic to fend off Game Pass, right? I don't know. It's an interesting one.